The group stages of the FIFA 2022 World Cup have come to a close, and it has been a football spectacle. Well, from dramatic victories to pelvic contusions to mere millimeters of shoulders and foot, making the difference at the group stages. Notable is the fact that none of the teams finished with the maximum 9 points. I'm not alone in the studio. I'm joined by our Rise Sports correspondent, Aaron Akiri-Jola. Thanks for joining me, Aaron.
Always good to be here today. It's been a roller coaster of a ride. Let's put it that way. Massive permutations. The calculators have been buzzing non-stop, and this is the very first time I can remember that there were a lot of permutations coming into the group stages and also leaving the group stages. We haven't had this much drama in a very long time. But that's the Qatar 2022 World Cup. I must say, kudos to the participants, kudos to the actors, talking about the players. They've made this World Cup one to remember.
Talking about a World Cup to remember, Cameroon were in action against Brazil last night, and we saw Serbia and Switzerland, a game which ended in a 5-goal thriller. But for Cameroon, they made history last night. But
several records were being set.
yeah, exactly.
Being that this is the first time, I can't remember in a very long time, that Brazil have actually lost a group game. Put it also in context, this is the first time in this World Cup, because in their prior games, the Seleção had not actually received any single shot on target. So their defense were not tested. Alisson was not tested. But in this game, I've always clamored, I've always questioned, how would you decide to leave your talisman out of a huge context like this? Talking about Vincent Abubakar. I did not understand what Rigobert Song was thinking, but he showed once again he's the man for the big stage. And I felt a little bit rubbed the wrong way. I felt it was a little bit harsh for him to have gotten sent off for the second yellow card resulting from him pulling off his shirt. But that's the World Cup for you. And I'm sure if you'd ask him, he would do that over and over again. Because not too many Africans can claim to have scored a goal against the royalty of world football, talking about Brazil, at the World Cup. This is likely going to be his last World Cup. And what a way to go out.
What a way to go out for him. But Aaron, so many have talked about the fact that Abubakar wasn't started in the first game. What would it have been? Who knows? Would he have turned that game around?
Because I look at the lineup, and I still say to myself that looking at the lineup for the what they call the Teranga Lions, Cameroon, you look at them and you say to yourself, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon went into that game on the back of the fact that Max Chimomostin was in a rich vein of form for Bayern Munich, and they felt probably he could lead the line. And I still say to myself, he has earned his place in the squad, but to probably champion that particular squad from the top, be the tipping spear, I do not think so. And I felt the coach Roberto Song did a lot of disservice to Vincent Abubakar by refusing to start him in the first two games, bringing him as a substitute. And he made a massive impact in the second game because he came in, scored a goal, another wonder goal, gave an assist to help the indomitable Lions. Now, coming into this third game, it was a no-brainer. If you
nobody
thought
once or twice, Cameroon would have done it.
But I in my mind, I knew something like this was going to happen, being that Tite knows that you can lose, as I say, you can lose the war and not the battle. Mm-hmm. He knows that the group stage is already won. He knows that the fight is still down the road. You do not want your key players out. They are still sweating on the fitness of Neymar dos Santos Jr. He's likely not to play in the round of 16. They're saying that if Brazil can make it as far as maybe the semifinals or the finals,
he'll come back.
And if the injury is kind to him, he might be able to feature. So you look at that as a coach, and sometimes some things need to give. Forget about the record, because if you win the World Cup, all that goes down the window. In 2010, the La Fiera of Spain lost the first game
against Switzerland.
Yes, and they went on to win the World Cup, and all was forgiven. And that should be the ultimate goal. You should always look at the bigger picture. And I think Tite did the right thing, wrong in the changes, probably threw the game away. Doesn't matter. Cameroon needed the game and they couldn't even get the qualification ultimately. All that matters right now is how can he gather his team together and ensure that that momentum is not broken, because certainly losing a game, no matter how much you try to downplay that particular game, might rub off the players the wrong way. So he needs to refocus, realign the team together. They can still do it. They're still the favorites.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Aaron, let us go deeper into these group stages. We saw interesting matches from Group C,
Fantastic
Group
matches.
E, Group H, and Group F. Let us start from Group C. Mexico, for the first time in 44 years, were kicked out of the World Cup. Well, in the group stages, and because of the fair play rule, not just the fair play rule, but the goal difference, because at the end they considered a goal in that game. But how would you view the Group C? Initially, Saudi Arabia started it, defeated Argentina. We saw Poland firing, but they ended up losing their last game. Mexico fought like a lion. They won, but they lost the battle.
I think they left it too late. They are three coming into the tournament. We're not in the richest vein of form. Of course, at some point they beat the Super Eagles of Nigeria, but the Super Eagles of Nigeria are not even at the World Cup. So, but the point is that they've always, because I spoke with one or two L3 fans, and they said they did not like
Qatar
and what he was doing to their football, that he did not understand the ethos of Mexican football. This is the very first time in a very long time that Mexico are not advancing into the round of 16. They are a staple when it comes to the knockout stages of the World Cup. But Tata, an Argentine, probably not understanding the tax that has been given to him, did not rise to the occasion, did not probably bring in the attacking foray, because that is where they actually dropped the ball. Somewhere, some people might have said, Chicharito scored 15 goals in the MLS. And the question was, why was he included in that team? He has always brought in goals to the L3 of Mexico at different World Cups. What was different from this one, I do not know. But Tata Martino maybe might have felt he was a little bit too old and decided to drop him by the wayside. And Mexico struggled up until the final game. They didn't score any goal. How can you play 2 games and you've not registered a goal and you want to qualify from the particular group? I was quite disappointed, and rightfully so. He's been dismissed.
Dismissal for him, but for Poland and Argentina, what do you take on that game?
Poland and Argentina, the Polish were appalling. They were a disappointment to football. Having someone like a Robert Lewandowski, all he needed to do was to stay up front and just float the ball to him one way or the other. One counter-attack will click. Poland went into that game with their tails between their legs. I do not understand how players would even celebrate after putting out such a poor performance.
And they're going to be taking on France.
So I do not even know how they want to muster the strength to go against the Le Bleu of France. I must put it into context. Maybe just the only silver lining is that France themselves have not really shown up to this party.
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe is the only man that is really actually gone blazing at this tournament. Save that. Griezmann has played 18 straight matches for France. But we are yet to see Griezmann light up this tournament. We want to see more from them. Olivier Giroud has started off the tournament with a bang, getting 2 goals. But he has kind of teetered away. We need to see more from the Le Bleu if they want to go far. They are looking very susceptible, especially in the back line. If Poland can activate something, if Poland can capitalize on something, they might be able to get something out of that game, but they will need to do something way past what they did against Argentina. Against Argentina, they were woeful. I was disappointed. That was not World Cup standard.
Except Szczesny.
Szczesny had a game to remember. But the fact that he still had to pick the ball from the back of the net. He sent the penalty, by the way. Exactly. That was good one. For me, Morocco has been a darling of this particular World Cup. No one ever thought, no one ever envisaged.
And they're silently doing it.
Yes. That's the point. They're just slipping under the radar. Some are actually touting them to be the dark horses of this particular tournament. If you'd ask me, rightfully so. They've earned their tag, not having lost a game in this tournament as we speak. And we're seeing the likes of El Nassi, Hakim Ziyech. How about that pass from Ashraf Hakimi? They're calling it the pass
of the
World Cup from almost 50, 60 yards. I must say Morocco have earned their place in the round of 16. I'm hoping that they can take it a little bit further than this. Get into the quarterfinals. Anything can happen from there.
Anything can happen. And there's Japan. Japan put up a show, 2 interesting and upsetting victories. Spain there.
Yeah, they're the surprise package of this tournament. Without a doubt, the Blue Samurais have put to the sword Germany and put to the sword Spain. No one can underrate Japan as we speak. They have the legs and they keep running.
Kamada,
they keep running. They are tireless. They are indefatigable at the moment, and that is helping them heavily. With the right spirit and the fact that they press a lot, it has rubbed their opponents the wrong way, and they've been able to etch out results. Kudos to them. They are limitless right now. They can aim for the stars. They've earned it, because who would have ever thought in a group that has Germany and Spain? Oh, Japan have been incredible.
Initially, so many people said, is it a fluke? Is it not a fluke? But they went on to defeat not just Germany, but Spain and Luis Enrique.
And they had to come from behind to do it in both occasions. So it shows their mental fortitude. It shows that the coach knows what he's doing, because probably he would have read the game and said that they were on the back foot. He run in some changes, and the rest is history.
Now, we'll go to Group H. Group H, coming into the World Cup, was when the World Cup draws came out, so many kept on speaking about Ghana's revenge over Uruguay, which totally overshadowed the real reason they're going onto the pitch. And would you say you saw that happen or saw that play out yesterday when Ghana took on Uruguay? Because from the start to the finish, it seems Ghana lost concentration.
Ghana were distracted coming into the game. Ghana had their worst game yesterday at the World Cup, at the 2022 World Cup. I'm always baffled when people try to tie past games to present games. Ghana were there for one thing and one thing alone. They've had 2 incredible games. Go into that game. You know you needed a draw. Just go into that game, leave the baggage behind, and just go into that game like you did in the first and second game. And the rest would have been history. But Ghana decided to talk about 2010. Who cares about the 2010 World Cup? 12 years ago? That's water under the bridge. They did themselves a lot of disservice. Not the coach, the players, because sometimes the coach has done the selection. The players did not put in a good shift yesterday. They were flat. The defense were awful. Amate, I was asking myself the question, what was he doing? Was he here for a tea party? The answer was no.
Who did so against South Korea?
Oh my God. I looked at that game and my heart sunk. Once again, we had an opportunity to make history, and we did not do that because we allowed ourselves to be saddled with excesses. Who cares about the 2010 World Cup and all that happened? Ghana could have made history at this World Cup. They were still thinking about what happened in 2010. And look at where they are right now.
They're going home. Okay, we will go on a short break, and when we return, we will continue. Please stay with us. And welcome back. This is still Global Sports Reports here on the Rise News. And before we went on the break, we were speaking on the group stages. Well, that is done and dusted. Well, the round of 16 starts today, and interesting games will be played. The Netherlands take on the United States of America, and we would like to see Argentina take on Australia. Well, the Netherlands and United States have met 5 times prior to the meeting today. But what's important of note is that they have never met competitively, and this will be their first World Cup clash. But the Netherlands have defeated the United States 4 times, and the USA just getting 1 victory out of this particular fixture. And now, like we already know, Van Gaal has inspired the Netherlands, and they are on an 18-match unbeaten run.
Yeah, they are.
Can they get their own over the United States?
I've tried to figure out the Dutch, the Orange. I've looked at them and I've said to myself, I don't know where to place them. Have they been fantastic? I'm not sure. Have they been lethargic? I'm not also sure. They've just flown under the radar. It's very, very tricky to have a team flying under the radar, because before you can say Jack Robinson, before you can know it, they might get to the finals. And it's very, very achievable. Understanding that they also have the pedigree to do that. So you look at that, and because when you were talking, I was just taken aback. I know that they have a date with destiny. If they can go past the USA today, they have Argentina
Or
Australia to face. And that means that you look at that particular one, if they can do that, they're likely to face maybe a Brazil, South Korea, Japan, or Croatia in the semifinals. It's doable, but they will need to raise their game. They've been okay. Gakpo has gotten goals for them. I'll be glad that we are seeing another new face rise to the occasion, because a lot of people questioned where would the goals come from, with Memphis Depay not fully fit for this World Cup, but still part of the World Cup. Where would the goals come from? I'm happy that Gakpo has actually risen to the occasion. He's gotten quite a number of goals for the Orange, and I'm happy that that is happening. Their defense hasn't really been tested. Virgil van Dijk is still having a tea party. Yeah, so let's see. We're getting to that. We're getting to the business end of the season. I mean, business stage of the World Cup. So certainly, I don't know if the US would threaten him, because I must say this. I know that their talisman is still out injured. Christian Pulisic is still out injured. He says he will be fit for this game, but would it be 100%? I don't know. Weston McKennie has also been a man that has risen to the occasion. Timothy Weah has also been a thorn in the side of defenses.
Dest has not done bad. But
yes, also Dest has been good. Dest has been very good. I didn't expect that from Dest, but he's been good. The US side are also a good side, but I don't know.
The last time they defeated,
average versus average,
exactly, they're both average teams. But if you look at the history of the US, the last time they defeated a European side at the World Cup was in 2002, and the last 3 times they met a European side, they didn't get a victory. But
anything
could happen.
This is the kind of game they have been priming for.
Yeah.
The kind of game that they know that they do stand a chance. If they can go in there on the front foot, probably start it off the way they started their first 2 games. Maybe because the first game against Wales, they came out firing off the blocks in the first half. Second half, they teetered away. If they can actually start this game like that, I think they can get something out of this game.
Well, we'll see how that pans out for the United States and also the Netherlands there. But another game going on later tonight. That will be the last game of the day. That's Argentina will take on Australia. Well, Australia were also a surprise team at the World Cup. Being in a group that had the likes of Denmark, I don't think anybody expected them to actually sail through. They defeated Denmark to get into the round of 16. And Argentina lost their first game but won the last 2. Have they been fantastic? Well, we'll see how that pans out for them. But for Argentina and Australia, that is a game that is quite tricky. Both sides have met 7 times. Argentina recording 5 victories, 1 loss, and one draw there in the encounter. But the Australians recorded a victory against the under-20 side. That's the Olympic side last year. But that's the Olympic side. But this is the same coach who was on board that defeated the Olympic side. Is there a chance that the Australians upset the Argentine side?
It's possible. Australia, the Socceroos have given a good account of themselves in this World Cup. They've not set the World Cup alight, but they've been okay. They've risen to the occasion. They've done their business. Sometimes that's all that matters. Just do your business and not worry about
whether anything.
Just do your business. Just do the business. And I think they've done that. Graham Arnold has been okay, if you'd ask me. But the big problem is this. I don't know if this man will be fit for today's game. Talking about Angel Di Maria. In my own opinion, I think he's a talisman of Argentine football. Every time he's injured in a tournament,
it's a different ball game.
It's a different ball game. Any game he does not play, it's a different game. I don't know why. Lionel Messi or no Lionel Messi, I fear for Argentina more when there is no Angel Di Maria, because you can check the stats.
He's the brain behind most of the creations. You look at how he moves through.
Dial your minds back to the under-20 and even the Olympic teams, when they even won the Olympics back in the day. Angel Di Maria seems to carry the luck for the RB Celeste. If he's fit enough to play, I will know that they will go through. But how Scaloni will be able to deal with his absence if he's not fit enough to play today is a big worry for me. Other coaches have not been able to do that because he brings a set of dynamism to this game that others cannot bring into the game. He's in his 30s already, but he still has the legs. Let's see how it happens. I think, in my own opinion, Australia might shock Argentina. in my own opinion, if Angel Di Maria does not play. If Angel Di Maria plays, it's a straight win for Argentina today.
Well, it's a huge possibility, but there are other games that will be played in the round of 16. Of course. Aaron, which game stands out for you? France will take on Poland. Well, if
you ask me, I'm looking forward to Morocco versus Spain. Now, the La Fiora came into this tournament with a bang, 7-0 against Costa Rica.
Yeah.
We said, this is the team of the
arrived.
tournament. Only for us to have 2 bad games back-to-back for the Spanish national team. Luis Enrique will need to dig deep. He will need to think through this. What happened in those 2 games? If he does not figure it out, Morocco will take the game to him, and Morocco will win that game. They are almost neighbors. Of course, just the water separates Morocco from Spain. They need to be careful. I'm tipping Morocco to go through. As against Senegal and England, the 3 Lions, I think they might have enough in their kitty to be able to dethrone the indomitable Lions. So, of Senegal.
Teranga Lions. Yeah,
sorry, the Teranga Lions. I'm mixing all the Lions. There are too many Lions in the party right now. Okay, so the Teranga Lions.
Yeah.
So let's see how it goes. But Morocco, the Atlas Lions also, will be hoping that they can roar loud enough to scare the Spanish out of this tournament.
Well, we'll see how that goes for those 2 sides. Japan take on Croatia. Japan?
Tricky game. I don't know how to call it. Croatia, one of those teams also that have been coasting this tournament.
Yeah.
They have been coasting. They were a little bit lucky, if you'd ask me, in their last game. Yeah. They have been coasting, but they will need to raise their game. Some Perisic and Kamaric will need to raise their game.
Kovacic.
No, Kovacic has been okay, if you'd ask me. He's been okay. But those guys in the front line, Kamaric and Perisic, they will need to raise their game. Lest Japan might take them to the cleaners and put them to the sword again. After all, they're called the Blue Samurais.
Well, Aaron, before we wrap up,
yeah,
what are your expectations for the round of 16? Do you think it's going to give us the juice the group stage gave us?
We had quite a lot of surprise in the group stages. I'm hoping for more surprises in the knockout phase. FIFA might not like it because they want to see a star-studded final. But for neutrals, they are loving what is happening. This is looking like the World Cup of the underdogs. The underdogs have risen to the occasion. I don't want it to stop here. I don't want it to get into their head. What happened in the group stage happened in the group stage. This is the next phase of the World Cup. They need to rise to the occasion. So I'm talking about Japan, Morocco, Senegal. I'm hoping that these teams...
South Korea
also. Okay, they came in good yesterday.
Yeah.
They left it late, but came in good yesterday. If they can do it, what a World Cup we have in our hands. I'm hoping to see more upsets in the round of 16.
Well, the Qatar 2022 World Cup has seemed to bring all the juice, all the intensity so many did not expect. But we are seeing it and we are living it, we are enjoying it. Well, this is where we call a wrap-up for the show, Global Sports Reports in the Rise News. I'm ABE Yomo and I've been with Aaron Akerijola. We'll see you tomorrow.